Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Marian White, and with me is my co-host for many years, Ken Bialo.
Good evening, Marian. How is yourself?
Great, now that I'm here with you.
Have you said hello to Yurik?
Hi, Yurik. How are you? I thought I knew him well.
You did know him well. You did know him well.
And
too bad. He had a tough day.
How did he enter into our lives on our table?
Well, I don't know, but there he is with a Y.
Yes.
I'm sure you can pick up the Y from a distance. There it is.
And he is missing a tooth, it appears.
Yes, it has a bad dentist.
So it's the three of us today.
Instead of Mike Weiner, we have Yurik.
Well, just let me remind everyone that you were mayor in the village of Larchmont for 4 years and trustee on the Larchmont Village Board for 11.
And are you going to say that you were trustee on the Larchmont Village Board for 4? Or do I have to say it?
I think it's been said. So that's okay. So a million years ago, we knew a lot.
Maybe. We're going to talk about Furniture Share House?
Oh, our favorite topic, and this is such a very special event coming up, and we've been talking about it for a couple of shows, of course. It's the Home for the Holidays Gala, where it's honoring the founder, our dear Kate Bialo. Mm-hmm. So that is very exciting. I'm sure that your household is buzzing. It's Friday, November 2nd, 6:30 p.m. at the Renaissance Hotel. And where exactly is that, Ken?
I've forgotten which exit it is off of 287. I think it's two. If you're going from 95 going towards the Tappan Zee Bridge,
right?
I think it would be exit 2 on your right. You get out, and then there's something called Red Deer Lane. That's where U.S. Tennis Association is. And right there is this gigantic place. And
okay.
It's Renaissance Hotel, and it's very nice, and it should be a pretty
it should be lovely.
Pretty fun event.
And I love the...
Do you want to roll the video on the invitation? That would be good. I think we could probably talk a little bit about it.
One of the things I always love are the vignette designs, which are just where some professional designers have come in and have put together pieces of furniture so that they all hang together and make sense, and that's so much fun.
I don't know if you have video of the inside. If you have the video of the inside, it's sort of interesting. It might be worth. We don't have a video of the inside. Okay, so the vignette designers, as you probably know, Kate has done this every 2 years. The gala is every 2 years. She doesn't do a fundraiser every year. She does it every other year, and the last one was 2016, and so this is 2018, and so we're doing this. And theoretically, she is in the retirement mode right now, and this is to say whatever it is that you say when somebody is retiring.
We miss you.
We miss you. So the unique thing about the Furniture Share House Gala, and it's been so since the very first event in 2010, is, just as you say, she recruits designers, interior designers, who go tootling around the warehouse looking in the same places that people who are in need come and look for free. They search out things that are going to fit into some design idea that they get or spark that they have, and they pull out things and they pull them together, and then they get set up in whatever way the designer wants to make sort of a little room, right? So we've had there was a little room from Africa, a little room that was Japanese in style, and one that was Chinese in style, and they do all this stuff, and it's really amazing how great they are.
Yes, considering it's just stuff scattered around the warehouse.
Well, it's not scattered, it's sort of organized,
Okay,
but there is a lot of it. There is a lot of it. So the vignette designers they're really outstanding, and they're listed here. I guess many of them are local. Helen Kipex is local, Judy Levine, Nikki Rosendorf, Kathy Brenner used to be local. And the chair is Danielle Alexandra Reinhardt and But that's only one of the special events at the Furniture Share House Gala, as you know. There's a silent auction, right, which will be out in the reception area. And there's a boutique where things are not, you don't have to sign a little list and bid against other people. You just go in there and there's a whole bunch of little designer kind of cute items that they've isolated again from the stuff that has been collected. And you can buy that right there. And then there's somebody who's going to be, who's actually the do-it-yourself person who helped to build tables and is really very interesting. And then we have the honorary chairs. And as I was saying earlier, one of my minor, this is my major success for the year, is we have listed George Latimer, who is the county executive, as everybody knows, separately on a line by himself because this is Westchester's Furniture Bank and he is Westchester's CEO. And so we thought it would be a good idea to break that out. There are other notables and political figures also listed as honorary chairs, but George stands out not only because he is the county executive, but as you said.
Yes, he's been a supporter really since the beginning, right?
Yes, very strong supporter. So we should say what Furniture Share House does. For people who don't know, there are people who come out of shelters in this county. Whether it can be a shelter for women and children, it can be a shelter for people who are disabled, it can be a shelter for people who are stepping down from incarceration. There are different shelters all over the place. And the social service agencies that run those shelters or that are associated with the shelters can go through the work of finding for people who are leaving places to live. Some of them are subsidized. I guess most of them, if not maybe all of them, are subsidized. Some are in public housing. But finding a place to live is...
That's half the battle.
Yeah, it's kind of like finding an empty envelope, which is the RSVP card. It's kind of, you're finding an empty envelope because there's nothing in there.
It's not a home.
It's not a home, and it's, there's nothing, literally.
Yes.
There's floors and a wall and obviously a bathroom and some semblance of a kitchen. So Kate got the idea, and this was maybe back in 2006 when she started looking. She got the idea that this was a very wealthy county in many respects, and there are people who are throwing away furniture, putting it in the dumpsters or sending it away, doing something with it which takes it away from a useful life. Furniture that really is not in bad shape at all, gently used as she describes it. And a lot of it's very expensive, and it comes from expensive homes and very expensive places around Westchester. So she came up with the idea of why don't we see if we can find a place to accumulate that stuff so that the people who are in need or the social service agencies that are helping people who are in need can come there and help the people who are in need to pick out things, and then we'll deliver it to them and we won't charge them anything. It'll be completely free. As I said on the radio this morning, F-R-E-E, free. You don't pay for it.
No asterisk.
No asterisk. It's not like going into a Salvation Army shop where the prices are reduced and you can buy. You don't buy anything. You get it. It's free. You're there. You get free stuff. And so she.
Well, and didn't she in the beginning? I thought she really sort of was contacting places around the country, trying to see
what
how
they were
things
doing.
were. Yeah.
There are a few, and there were a few. I don't know how many there are now. There were a few around the country. I think there was one in Brooklyn, there was one in Toronto, there was one in Minnesota, I think St. Paul, a huge operation in St. Paul. I don't know about the rest of the country. Those are the ones that I heard about. And in Toronto, when we were there for Kelsey Skating, we went and visited. They have a fleet of, in Toronto, they serve, how many people? 5 million people in the Toronto metropolitan area. And they had a fleet of trucks, not what we have one truck. They had a fleet of trucks that go out and pull stuff in, and that they don't even put it away because as it comes in, there are people who need it, who are coming in, and it kind of just flows right through the building. That's a lot of people. But anyway, so the idea is Kate's idea was to accumulate these gently used items of furniture in one place, under one roof, where social service agencies and the clients who are in need could come, and the clients would have volunteers, which she does have like 45 volunteers, who help them walk around the store. It's like Bloomingdale's, walk around the store and pick out things that will fit into their particular apartments or living space. Beds, kitchen tables, chairs, couches, lamps, end tables.
Well, just the one thing that Kate's always doing is trying to get beds.
Yes,
because,
beds. They go out real fast.
Yes.
So bed is the first thing you need.
Well, you certainly want children to have beds.
Yes, of course. And the dressers and all manner of these things. And they actually shop for them with the volunteers. And the volunteers put delivery tags on them. And then after the folks leave, then they batch the stuff near the door. And then Dave Vitullo, Man of the Year, comes in and loads the truck in whatever way that he does to suit the delivery route that he's going to take. And he takes them out and he delivers them. So there is no charge for any of this furniture. And there's all kinds of extra bonus stuff. There's artwork, there's knickknacks, there's dishes.
Pillows? You
There's,
took some of our pillows?
Pillows. Yeah, if it's in good shape, it will find a good home. So that was the idea. And it's now in its 12th year. And the reason I asked Dina to put the flooding picture up from, and this is taken from, just so we're on the up and up, from The Loop, which had an article called Federal Project Authorized for Mamaroneck Flooding, and this was dated, I can't find the date on it.
Well, here, the picture's April.
Yeah, no, the picture is, but I don't know which issue this was. But anyway, we have, Dina, do you have the flooding picture? This was Kate's this is what got her really kicked off, was the flooding that came with the hurricane in 2007 when the Mamaroneck River flooded. And there we are.
Oh, wow.
That was the area near the railroad station in Mamaroneck. And people were bereft of all of their belongings and their furniture and their apartments, and everything was gone.
Wow.
So she saw this as a place that she could really help right away. And found somebody, and I can't remember who it was, who was willing to loan her a trailer, and she set up a trailer. It was still raining. Set up a trailer and plastic covers, and loaded a bunch of stuff from the very first furniture that came to the warehouse. Just loaded a lot of it into the truck, took it down to Harbor Island, and set up sort of a little outpost. And there were tons of volunteers, people who didn't become volunteers at Furniture Share House in White Plains, but who were willing to help because these were friends and neighbors. And so they came down, and the place was staffed by volunteers, and people were coming in and getting the most basic stuff. I mean, a chair, a table, or something. They had nothing. And they were
Wow.
temporary housing was obtained for them by Red Cross or others, and
Just
they
think
really
of
were in
the
need.
hope that it gave people, that in this terrible time of devastation, there were people out there to try to...
Who were trying to help.
Yeah.
I don't know how you recover from something like this, so it's neither here nor there from my point of view.
Yeah.
A little ray of hope, I guess, is better than no hope, and I think that's what.
Well, it just makes you feel you're not alone.
Yes.
And that's so important.
And it's an important job of the Red Cross, to be there and to help, and that's what they were doing. And Kate was working with the Red Cross people and bringing people in. And I went down and I volunteered for a couple hours, and it was.
I'm sure you were exhausted
It
after
was
doing
freezing.
that.
It was freezing and it was wet.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, so that really sort of provided the impetus and propelled the organization forward. I think there was a lot of coverage of the flood and what she was doing in the local media, and that sort of gave people the idea that this existed. And then it's an uphill battle for 11 years of letting people know what you do and how you do it. And I think she has achieved a certain measure of sort of understanding of how the thing works. And this gala on November 2nd, that's starting at 6:30 at Renaissance Hotel, will have the silent auction, it will have the boutique, it will have do-it-yourself stuff, it will have the vignettes and the designer, and it will have Bruce Figler, who is a well-known local figure, right? What's the station?
The
107?
Peak, 107.1.
Yes.
And he was there 2 years ago, and he was awesome.
Yep. So
He has this really great voice, as radio people do.
He does have a great voice, and he will be doing the live auction bit of it in an effort to raise
And
more
he's
money.
good at that.
So
Excitement
he was.
kept building.
So he was. So there's dinner, there's open bar, there's dessert. It's tie and jacket for the men, cocktail attire for the women. And if you're interested in coming, and here's the tricky part, then it would be helpful if you RSVP'd by October 26th. You can purchase tickets online, and I'm going to read this to you, so run and get your pencil because you're never going to remember it. One way to figure it out is to go to furnituresharehouse.org, and that'll connect you to the ticket purchasing. But there is a way you can go directly, and ready for this? Tickets can be purchased online at, I'm reading this, tinyurl.com/FSGala 2018. That is a mouthful. Anyway, you can buy tickets there directly, or you can go to furnituresharehouse.org, and at the website, the website will direct you to how to buy tickets, or to make reservations, or to give a donation, which would be great. On the back of the invitation is a little statistical stuff, which is since 2007, 13,000 people, including half of those are children, 6,500 kids, have been supplied with more than 70,000 items of free furniture. This is not a fly-by-night. This is serious hard work.
And it's just piece by piece. That's what's incredible.
It is piece by piece. And amongst the platinum sponsors, we have 5 names that I mentioned on the radio today, and I would like to mention them on the TV as well. BNY Mellon, Wealth Management, Bank of New York, Mellon Wealth Management, Bob's Furniture, the Emlyn Theater, the Galleria in White Plains, which is housing the setup of the vignettes, and Alyssa Grayer Interior Designs. And those are the organizations that have stepped up and as the highest level sponsors, and we're certainly glad to have them. And they've done yeoman promotional work, which is important to kind of getting the word out there and making sure that there are plenty of people who come in with an open heart and an open wallet.
Well, I bet Bob's is handy in more ways than one.
They are.
Bob's Furniture.
Yes, that was a very good relationship to establish because it helps a lot with beds. They are extremely good with supplying beds from their various.
Well, and you've said how hotels are renovating or something, and so they will call Kate, and she has to just figure out how to get all the stuff out of the hotel before they renovate.
Yeah.
That's got to be a real challenge.
Well, you have to marshal a lot of resources. What you have to do.
Like husbands?
Well, not just husbands. You get Dave, and then you got to rent. She doesn't rent trucks. She manages to get people to donate tractor trailers.
Oh, wow.
The trailer, not the tractor port, the trailer port, for storage and for moving things around, and that's really great. Frank Rubbers and Collins Brothers is one of the great contributors in that regard. So it's hard work to empty out a warehouse. Oh my God, Bob's is ready to move all this stuff over here.
Well, it's very exciting.
It is exciting.
And I look forward to seeing you guys then. So, there was the strangest headline. It was, what was it? Cuomo blames cold weather for New York's population drain. Do you really think people are leaving New York because of the cold weather?
Well, what did he say? Isn't there a quote in there? People will make a demographic choice of where they want to live. Some of them are climate-based. If someone wants to move to Florida because they want to move to Florida, God bless them.
But no one mentions there's no income tax in Florida.
Well, I think the governor was a little overexcited here. as somebody later in this article, this comes from the Wall Street Journal, when today? No, September 27th. Somebody from the Empire Center Research organization noted that there are cold places in the Midwest and the upper Midwest, and they are gaining in population. New York, according to this article, New York lost 5.3% of its population over the period 2010 to 2017, moving to other states. Alaska, it was exceeded only by Alaska, which was also rounded to 5.3%, but was a tad higher. And Mr. Molinaro, who is the Republican candidate for governor running against Governor Cuomo, has made it, I thought, was a very apt and clever observation. The governor seems to be confusing New York's miserable business climate for the weather. And the next paragraph says, yes, New York is the 48th worst business climate in the nation. And I don't understand. I'm just completely puzzled. I'm completely puzzled by the sort of apathy in New York State. And really, the voters are just kind of going to go along with re-electing Governor Cuomo. There doesn't seem to be, and this. It's not just that the business climate is terrible. It's that the governor himself in the last 8 years has done a lot of things personally to make the business climate terrible, including ruling out, by executive fiat, the idea of fracking in upstate, when across the border in Pennsylvania, they're doing exactly that. The water is not polluted, but they are building schools and hospitals and roads, and people are more prosperous. And so we were driving through upstate last week or 2 weeks ago. It's just miserable up there. Nothing has changed. This is my 50th year reunion, and nothing has changed for the better, except that Route 17 is now mostly finished. And the other thing that, some of this stuff makes you crazy. The governor said New York, America was never great, so "Make America Great Again" is not a good slogan.
Or English, maybe?
Yeah, no, I mean,
like he would know.
Well, he doesn't know anything about English, but aside from that, he said America was never great, which of course stunned everybody, and it zipped across all of the internet stuff. But what hasn't zipped across the internet stuff, and what is astounding to me in this environment of the Me Too movement, which is sort of running rampant in lots of ways, right, is an article. Are we out of time?
No, we have 5 minutes.
Good. An article that said sexual harassment in Albany, 6 years, 1,000 complaints, and more than $6.4 million paid with whose money? The taxpayers' money, paid by the legislature to keep the lid on the complaints and to settle the complaints. 1,000 complaints.
Well, what do? You don't go, if you have a complaint, you go to the deep pocket?
No, you have a complaint, you go to, for the staff in Albany, there are heads of staff. You go to the head of staff and you say, somebody was harassing me. If you have the courage to do that. Yeah. If you have the courage to do that. And then there's a process for dealing with that. And the legislator may or may not respond, but at the end of the day, the best way for the politicians to handle it, so we don't know what's happening, is for them to pay people money. And that money gets allocated out of state budget or somebody's fund, the governor's fund, somebody's fund. But to me, it's astounding. It's State Senator Liz Krueger, who said she was floored by the number of payments. This is somebody who sits in the state Senate. Says the existing system might not encourage reporting because employees don't feel separation from their bosses. And there's a whole article. It's and where was this? Politico. And what was the date of this? Looks to me like February 7th, 2018, about sexual harassment in the Capitol. And no
one's talking about it.
But that's my point, is why is the New York Times not doing this? I mean, the great New York Times, the self-declared great New York Times, we're great, so we should be doing. Who are
impartial. They've changed their tune, remember?
Yeah, they're impartial, right? Well, but they, we have to agree. You would agree with me, I think, that New York Times, their moral standards are much higher than regular people. I mean, they're the elite, and they know everything.
So they know best.
They know everything. They don't. It's not a for-profit organization where they want clickbait or they want to make, contentious headlines and gin up trouble. No, that's not them. They are way above that. But why aren't they reporting about this? That's what I want to know. Everybody had a nice time saying, "Oh, Sheldon Silver went to jail," and who was the guy who was head of the head of the state senate? He went to jail.
Silver? No,
it was the other guy.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember him. Anyway, and the governor.
Well, why aren't people who are members of the, the Senate and whatever else? Why aren't they standing up and saying this shouldn't happen?
Well, it'd be nice to know. Women and men both. Why aren't you standing up? If it's happening, why aren't you standing? 1,000 complaints. Think about that. Think about that. How many representatives are there? There's 140 or 150 assembly people and 60 state senators. So that's 210. Generate 1,000 complaints in 6 years, which cost us, the taxpayers, $6 million. I'm not. This is a fact of life, but it should be out there, right? If you're going to make a big fuss about this, then make a big fuss about it. You should also make a big fuss about the fact.
And we shouldn't be paying for it.
Yeah, you make a big fuss that the governor set up the Moreland Commission, and when they got near the governor's office, he pulled down the Moreland Commission investigating corruption. And his best friend from down the hall was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. I mean, I don't understand why these things are not being accumulated and packaged and talked about in the campaign. Don't leave it to the Republican side to do it. Do it yourself. You're the New York Times, right? I just conceded you are geniuses and you're the greatest force for moral good since the beginning of time. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you talking about this? If you sure made a mess out of what happened in Washington, why don't you get this out there? Why don't you have the courage to print it? Huh?
That would really be a great idea.
That would be a breath of fresh air, wouldn't it? Anyway.
Well, maybe we'll inspire someone out there.
I doubt we'll inspire anybody out there.
So then just the last second thing is there was a picture of the flooding in the Hampshire Country Club property, which, they're underwater often enough.
And this photograph was put in the loop by an organization which is interested in resisting the development of Hampshire Country Club for housing.
There certainly seems to be good reason.
Celia Felsher, president of Marian Coastal Environment Coalition.
Okay.
MarianCoastal.org. So if you're interested,
Go.
make noise
thing.
on this because this is really awful.
Yes.
People are not going to enjoy being down there. They're going to feel very deceived if they buy property down there and it turns out to be under 3 feet of water. What do you think about that? He agrees.
Well, I will see you on November 2nd.
I will see you on November 2nd. And I hope to see everybody on November
well,
2nd.
that's a
Everybody.
really good
Passing
point.
out invitations here. Come and get them.
Here we go. Thank you very much, and thank you for the talent. The real talent is on the other side of the cameras. And thank you all. Take care.
Good night.